Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use.
The upcoming science fiction film Project Hail Mary is quickly becoming one of the most talked about space movies in development, especially among fans of intelligent sci-fi storytelling. The film is based on the popular novel written by Andy Weir, the same author who previously captured the imagination of audiences around the world with the story that became the blockbuster film The Martian. Because of that success, expectations for this new cinematic adaptation are already incredibly high. Project Hail Mary promises to combine deep scientific concepts with an emotional human story about survival, responsibility, and the fate of humanity itself. Even before its release, the film has attracted major attention because of the talented people involved in bringing the story to life and the ambitious scale of the project. At the center of Project Hail Mary is actor Ryan Gosling, who plays the main character Ryland Grace. Gosling is known for his ability to bring depth and subtle emotion to complex roles, and this character requires exactly that kind of performance. The story begins in a mysterious and dramatic way. Ryland Grace wakes up alone on a spaceship, millions of miles away from Earth, with no memory of who he is or how he ended up there. As he slowly regains his memories, the shocking truth begins to reveal itself piece by piece. He is not just an astronaut on a routine mission. Instead, he may be the last hope for saving the entire human race from a cosmic disaster that threatens to destroy life on Earth. The premise of Project Hail Mary revolves around a strange astronomical phenomenon that scientists on Earth discover. Something unusual is happening with the Sun and other stars across the galaxy. These stars appear to be slowly losing their energy, dimming in a way that should be impossible according to known physics. As researchers study the phenomenon, they realize that if the same thing continues happening to Earth's sun, the consequences would be catastrophic. Temperatures across the planet would fall dramatically, ecosystems would collapse, and civilization as humanity knows it would face extinction. This terrifying discovery leads to an urgent global effort to find a solution. Scientists from around the world begin working together, racing against time to understand the mysterious organism or particle that appears to be responsible for the energy loss. The situation becomes so desperate that governments unite to launch an extremely risky mission into deep space. The goal of this mission is to travel to a distant star system where the phenomenon does not appear to be affecting the star in the same way. By studying that star, scientists hope to discover why it remains stable and how that knowledge could save Earth. Ryland Grace becomes an unexpected part of this mission. Before the crisis, he was not a famous astronaut or a decorated space explorer. Instead, he was a science teacher with a strong background in biology and astrophysics. His life was relatively ordinary, focused on teaching students and sharing his passion for science. However, when the crisis begins and the global scientific community searches for experts who might understand the strange phenomenon, Grace's unique knowledge suddenly becomes incredibly valuable. As the memories return to him during the film, the audience gradually learns how he was recruited for the mission. At first, he is reluctant and overwhelmed by the idea of leaving Earth behind for what might be a one-way journey. The mission is incredibly dangerous, and the chances of survival are extremely small. But as the situation on Earth becomes more desperate, it becomes clear that someone must take the risk. Humanity needs answers, and Grace may be the only person capable of finding them. The spaceship itself is another fascinating aspect of Project Hail Mary. Designed for an incredibly long journey through space, the ship contains advanced technology intended to keep its crew alive during years of travel. Much of the journey involves a process similar to suspended animation, allowing astronauts to survive the vast distances between stars. However, when Ryland Grace wakes up at the beginning of the story, something has gone terribly wrong. The rest of the crew is gone, and he appears to be the only survivor left to complete the mission. This isolation becomes one of the central emotional elements of the story. Alone in the darkness of space, millions of miles away from home, Grace must not only solve one of the greatest scientific mysteries in human history, but also deal with the psychological challenge of total isolation. The film is expected to explore both the scientific and emotional aspects of this situation, blending suspense, discovery, and character development in a way that keeps viewers engaged from beginning to end. One of the reasons fans are so excited about Project Hail Mary is the creative team behind the film. The directors Phil Lord and Christopher Miller are known for their unique storytelling style and their ability to balance humor, emotion, and high-concept ideas. Their previous work has shown that they can take complex stories and present them in ways that feel both entertaining and emotionally meaningful. Bringing that approach to a large-scale science fiction film like this has created a lot of anticipation among movie lovers. The film is also being produced with the involvement of Andy Weir himself, which gives fans confidence that the adaptation will stay true to the spirit of the original story. That Weir's writing is known for blending real scientific principles with thrilling storytelling, creating narratives that feel both educational and exciting. In Project Hail Mary, this approach becomes even more important because the story relies heavily on scientific discovery and problem-solving. As the narrative progresses, Ryland Grace begins performing experiments aboard the spacecraft, trying to understand the mysterious organism responsible for draining energy from stars. Using the ship's laboratory equipment, he studies samples and analyzes data collected during the journey. Each new discovery brings him closer to understanding the phenomenon, but it also raises new questions. The mystery is far more complicated than anyone on Earth originally believed. One of the most intriguing aspects of the story is the possibility that humanity may not be alone in facing this cosmic threat. As Grace continues exploring the star system, he begins to notice signs that another intelligent species might also be investigating the same problem. This possibility introduces a fascinating new dimension to the story, expanding the narrative beyond a simple survival mission into something much larger and more profound. The idea that two completely different civilizations might meet in deep space while trying to solve the same universal crisis opens the door for powerful themes about cooperation, communication, and the shared struggle for survival. Science fiction has often explored the concept of first contact between species, but Project Hail Mary approaches it from a unique perspective, focusing not on conflict but on collaboration. From a production standpoint, the film is expected to feature stunning visual effects that bring the vastness of space to life. The journey across star systems, the design of the spacecraft, and the depiction of distant worlds will likely play a major role in creating an immersive cinematic experience. Modern filmmaking technology allows directors to create incredibly realistic portrayals of space travel, and Project Hail Mary aims to use those tools to capture both the beauty and the danger of the cosmos. The release of the film is currently scheduled for 2026, and anticipation continues to grow as fans wait for the first official trailer. While detailed footage has not yet been widely revealed, early reports suggest that the trailer will focus on the mystery surrounding Ryland Grace's awakening and the enormous stakes of the mission. Teasing the discovery of the cosmic phenomenon and the isolation of the spacecraft could create a powerful sense of intrigue for audiences. For many viewers, the appeal of Project Hail Mary lies not only in its exciting premise, but also in its deeper themes. The story is ultimately about humanity's ability to come together in the face of an existential threat. It explores how scientific curiosity, courage, and collaboration can push people to attempt the impossible. In a time when global challenges often seem overwhelming, stories like this remind audiences of the power of knowledge and determination. Ryan Gosling's performance will likely be a key element in making this story work on screen. Much of the film depends on the audience connecting with his character as he struggles to solve problems, confront fear, and carry the weight of humanity's survival on his shoulders. A role like this requires both intellectual credibility and emotional authenticity, something Gosling has demonstrated in many previous films. As more information about the film continues to emerge, excitement is likely to grow even further. Science fiction fans, readers of Andy Weir's novel, and general movie audiences are all curious to see how this ambitious story will be translated into a cinematic experience. With its mix of mystery, science, emotional storytelling, and large-scale visuals, Project Hail Mary has the potential to become one of the most memorable sci-fi films of the decade. The mission that Ryland Grace is part of represents the most ambitious and desperate scientific project ever attempted by humanity. By the time the spacecraft leaves Earth, The entire world understands that the fate of civilization may depend on the success of this single mission. Governments that once competed with each other politically and economically have no choice but to cooperate. Scientists, engineers, and astronauts from across the globe contribute their knowledge to designing a spacecraft capable of traveling farther than any human mission before it. The goal is simple to describe but incredibly difficult to achieve. Reach a distant star system where the mysterious energy-draining phenomenon does not appear to exist, study the environment there, and discover what makes that star immune. For Ryland Grace, the journey toward becoming part of this mission is anything but straightforward. As his memories continue returning while he explores the ship, he recalls the moment when the global crisis first entered the scientific community. Researchers studying solar activity noticed unusual data patterns that could not be explained through traditional astrophysics. At first, many believed the readings were errors or equipment malfunctions. But as more telescopes confirmed the same changes in the sun's brightness, the realization slowly spread that something extraordinary and terrifying was happening. As scientists across the world began analyzing the data, they discovered that the sun was not the only star affected. Observatories detected similar energy losses in several nearby stars. Even more frightening was the fact that the patterns seemed to be spreading across the galaxy. This meant the phenomenon was not random, but caused by some unknown force or organism that could move through space and affect stars on a massive scale. Humanity was suddenly facing a cosmic mystery unlike anything ever encountered before. Grace remembers the moment he first studied the strange substance believed to be responsible. Under powerful microscopes, scientists identified microscopic life forms that appeared to consume energy directly from starlight. These organisms behaved in ways that challenged traditional biology. They could survive in the vacuum of space, reproduce using energy instead of conventional nutrients, and travel between stars using unknown mechanisms. The discovery was both fascinating and horrifying. If the organisms continued spreading, they could gradually weaken countless stars, including the sun that sustains life on Earth. The international scientific community responded with unprecedented urgency. Laboratories operated around the clock as experts from fields like astrophysics, biology, chemistry, and engineering collaborated to understand the phenomenon. During this period, Ryland Grace's expertise in microbiology and astrophysics made him an important contributor to the research. His ability to think creatively about unusual biological systems helped scientists develop theories about how the organisms might behave in different environments. One of the most important discoveries came when researchers identified a distant star that seemed unaffected by the phenomenon. While surrounding stars were gradually losing brightness, this particular star continued shining at normal levels. This anomaly offered the first real hope humanity had seen since the crisis began. If scientists could learn why that star remained stable, they might find a way to protect Earth's sun from the same fate. However, studying the star from Earth was not enough. Telescopes could provide valuable observations, but the answers required direct experimentation and data collection in that star system. This realization led to the creation of the deep space mission that would eventually carry Ryland Grace across the galaxy. Engineers designed a spacecraft capable of traveling vast distances using advanced propulsion technology. The ship was equipped with laboratories, life support systems, and experimental equipment intended to analyze the mysterious organisms in space. The mission was given an unusual name, Project Hail Mary. The phrase reflects the desperate nature of the plan. In sports, a Hail Mary play is a final attempt when all other options have failed. That perfectly describes humanity's situation. The mission represents a last chance to discover a solution before Earth's environment begins collapsing under the loss of solar energy. As Grace's memories continue returning, he recalls the intense training process that prepared him for the mission. Astronaut training is already physically and mentally demanding, but this mission required something even more extreme. Because the journey would take many years, the crew needed to rely on suspended animation technology that would keep them alive during long periods of travel. They also had to be capable of performing complex scientific experiments while isolated in deep space. During this period, Grace struggled with the enormous responsibility placed on him. Unlike many astronauts who dream of exploring space, he had never expected to become part of such a dangerous mission. The knowledge that billions of lives might depend on his success weighed heavily on his mind. Yet at the same time, his passion for science and discovery gave him the courage to continue. Eventually, the spacecraft launched, carrying its small crew away from Earth and into the vast darkness of interstellar space. The journey itself would last years, but the crew would spend most of that time in hibernation, allowing the ship's automated systems to guide them toward their destination. When Grace wakes up at the beginning of the story, however, the mission has already reached a critical point. Back in the present timeline aboard the spacecraft, Grace slowly regains his scientific focus. Despite the confusion and fear caused by his memory loss, his training begins guiding his actions. He starts examining the ship's systems, checking the data collected during the journey, and continuing the research that could save Earth. One of the most surprising discoveries occurs when Grace realizes that another spacecraft is present in the same star system. At first, he struggles to understand how this could be possible. Humanity believed it was sending the only mission capable of reaching this distance. But as he investigates further, it becomes clear that another intelligent species has also traveled to this star for the same reason. This realization leads to one of the most remarkable moments in the story: the first contact between Ryland Grace and an alien civilization. Instead of the typical science fiction scenario involving conflict or fear, this encounter unfolds in a completely different way. Both sides are scientists facing the same existential threat. The alien visitor, like Grace, is searching for answers that could save their own world. Communication between two completely different species proves extremely challenging at first. Their languages, biology, and technology are entirely unfamiliar to each other. But through patience and experimentation, they begin developing methods to exchange information. Mathematical patterns, scientific diagrams, and shared observations gradually become the foundation of their communication. As the partnership develops, Grace realizes that cooperation between their two civilizations could dramatically increase the chances of solving the mystery. The alien scientist has knowledge and technology that humanity does not possess, while Grace brings his own understanding of the organisms affecting Earth's Sunday. Together, they begin conducting experiments that neither could perform alone. Their collaboration leads to groundbreaking discoveries about the energy-draining organisms. They learn how the organisms reproduce, how they travel through space, and most importantly, what environmental conditions prevent them from consuming stellar energy. Each experiment brings them closer to understanding how to stop the spread of the phenomenon. Throughout these discoveries, the story also explores the emotional bond forming between two individuals from completely different worlds. Despite their differences in appearance, biology, and culture, Grace and his alien counterpart share something powerful: the determination to save their species. Their friendship becomes one of the most compelling elements of the narrative, showing how cooperation and empathy can overcome even the most extreme barriers. While much of the story focuses on scientific investigation, the tension never disappears. Time remains the greatest enemy. Every moment that passes brings Earth closer to environmental collapse. Grace knows that the information he discovers must eventually reach humanity if it is going to make a difference. The challenge is finding a way to send that information across the vast distances of space. Meanwhile, the alien civilization faces a similar crisis in their own star system. The organisms threatening Earth's sun are also spreading toward their star. This means both civilizations are racing against the same cosmic clock. Their shared struggle strengthens the partnership between Grace and his new ally, pushing them to work harder than ever. As their research continues, they eventually identify a potential solution: a biological method for controlling the energy-consuming organisms. By introducing a natural predator or competing organism into the environment, it may be possible to stop the spread and restore the balance of stellar energy. However, implementing this solution requires precise calculations and careful experimentation. The final phase of the mission becomes a test of everything Grace has learned. He must use his scientific knowledge, creativity, and courage to apply their discoveries in a way that could save not just one world, but two civilizations. The outcome of the mission will determine whether humanity survives the greatest cosmic threat it has ever faced. As the film approaches its conclusion, The story emphasizes the themes that make Project Hail Mary such a powerful narrative. It is not simply a story about space travel or alien encounters. At its core, it is a story about the resilience of intelligence and cooperation. It shows how curiosity, knowledge, and collaboration can overcome challenges that once seemed impossible. The upcoming film adaptation scheduled for release in 2026 aims to bring this extraordinary story to life on the big screen. With Ryan Gosling leading the cast and a creative team dedicated to capturing the spirit of the original story, Project Hail Mary has the potential to become one of the most memorable science fiction films of its generation. The combination of high-concept science, emotional storytelling, and breathtaking cosmic visuals could make it a standout cinematic experience for audiences around the world. As anticipation builds for the first official trailer and additional promotional material, fans of science fiction are already eager to see how the filmmakers will portray the incredible journey of Ryland Grace. The film promises mystery, discovery, suspense, and an unforgettable exploration of humanity's place in the universe. If the adaptation succeeds in capturing the wonder and intelligence of the story, Project Hail Mary may become a defining sci-fi adventure of the decade, reminding viewers that even in the darkest corners of space, hope can still shine. As the mission continues deeper into the unknown, Ryland Grace begins to understand that the discoveries he and his alien counterpart are making could completely change the future of both their civilizations. What began as a desperate attempt to investigate a strange stellar phenomenon has now turned into one of the most important scientific collaborations in the history of intelligent life. Every experiment they conduct, every observation they record, brings them closer to solving the mystery that threatens entire star systems. The alien scientist, who comes from a completely different world with a completely different biology, proves to be just as curious and determined as Grace himself. Although their communication started slowly, over time, they develop a surprisingly effective way of exchanging ideas. Mathematical concepts become their shared language. Numbers, patterns, physics equations, and chemical structures allow them to build a bridge between two species that evolved light years apart. Through this growing partnership, Grace learns that the alien civilization had detected the same cosmic problem years earlier. Their scientists also discovered that stars across their region of space were gradually losing energy. At first, they believed it might be a natural cosmic cycle, but the pattern became too consistent to ignore. Eventually, their own researchers discovered microscopic organisms drifting through space that appeared to absorb stellar radiation. Just like on Earth, this discovery caused panic among their scientists and leaders. Their civilization also began searching for stars that seemed immune to the phenomenon. Eventually, they discovered the same stable star system that humanity had targeted for Project Hail Mary. Without knowing about Earth's mission, they launched their own spacecraft to investigate the mystery. This realization is both shocking and reassuring for Grace. It proves that humanity is not alone in the universe, but it also confirms that the crisis is far larger than anyone on Earth originally believed. Multiple civilizations are now facing the same threat, and the survival of countless worlds may depend on the research happening aboard two lonely spacecraft in a distant star system. Together, Grace and his alien partner begin running complex experiments using samples of the strange, energy-consuming organisms. Their laboratory becomes a place of constant activity as they test different environmental conditions, chemical reactions, and energy sources. They discover that the organisms are incredibly adaptable. They can survive extreme temperatures, vacuum conditions, and intense radiation levels that would destroy most known forms of life. However, their research eventually reveals something important. While the organisms thrive in certain environments, there are specific conditions where they cannot survive. Certain types of radiation and chemical reactions appear to disrupt their biological processes. These discoveries open the door to a possible solution. Grace realizes that if they can create a controlled biological countermeasure, they might be able to stop the spread of the organisms before they completely drain a star's energy. Instead of trying to destroy them directly, they could introduce another organism that competes with them for resources or even consumes them as food. The concept is risky, but it follows the same ecological principles that exist on Earth. In natural ecosystems, Balance is maintained by predator-prey relationships and competition between species. If they can introduce a competing life form capable of controlling the population of the energy-draining organisms, the stars might recover their normal energy output. Developing such a solution requires careful experimentation. The wrong approach could create an even bigger problem, possibly introducing a new organism that spreads uncontrollably. Because of this risk, Grace and the alien scientists spend long periods studying how the organisms interact with each other and with different energy sources. During these experiments, their friendship grows stronger. Despite the enormous differences between their species, they begin to understand each other's personalities, humor, and motivations. What started as a cautious scientific exchange slowly becomes a genuine partnership built on trust and mutual respect. Grace often reflects on how strange the situation is. Just a few years earlier, humanity believed it might be alone in the universe. Now he finds himself working side by side with an alien scientist, trying to solve a cosmic problem that threatens multiple worlds. The experience changes his perspective on the universe and on humanity's place within it. Back on Earth, although the film's story mainly follows Grace's mission in deep space, the audience understands that time is running out. The sun continues losing energy slowly but steadily. Temperatures on Earth are beginning to drop. Governments are struggling to prepare for a future where sunlight becomes weaker and global climates start shifting in dangerous ways. This knowledge adds enormous pressure to Grace's work. Every experiment he performs carries the weight of billions of lives. Failure would not only mean the end of his mission, but possibly the end of human civilization as well. Yet instead of being paralyzed by fear, Grace focuses on the scientific method he knows so well. Step by step, observation by observation, he continues searching for answers. Eventually, the joint research between the two scientists leads to a breakthrough. They discover a specific microorganism that naturally feeds on the energy-draining organisms without damaging the surrounding environment. In controlled conditions, this predator organism successfully reduces the population of the harmful microbes. This discovery could be the key to saving both of their home worlds. If the predator organism can be safely transported and introduced into affected star systems, it may be able to stop the spread of the energy-draining microbes and allow stars to recover their natural brightness. However, implementing this solution presents another enormous challenge. Grace must find a way to send the necessary biological samples and research data back to Earth across unimaginable distances. The journey that brought him to this star system took years, and Earth cannot wait that long for a solution. Using the advanced technology aboard both spacecraft, Grace and his alien partner begin designing a system capable of launching a high-speed probe carrying the critical data and biological samples. The probe must travel much faster than the original spacecraft in order to reach Earth in time to make a difference. Designing and building this probe becomes their final collaborative project. Every component must work perfectly. A single error could destroy the mission and eliminate humanity's last chance of survival. They test propulsion systems, calculate trajectories, and carefully secure the fragile biological samples that must remain alive during the journey at the same time. Grace faces a difficult personal decision. Once the probe is launched, his own ability to return home becomes uncertain. The resources aboard his spacecraft may not allow him to travel back to Earth. In many ways, sending the probe might mean sacrificing his own chance of ever seeing his home planet again. This moment becomes one of the most emotional points of the story. Grace reflects on the life he once had on Earth, the classroom, where he taught science to curious students, the simple routine of everyday life, and the planet he might never see again. Yet he also understands the importance of the mission. Saving Earth is more important than his own survival. With determination, he continues working alongside his alien partner to complete the probe. Their shared goal has turned two strangers from distant worlds into something closer to friends. Both understand the sacrifices required to protect their civilizations. When the probe is finally ready, the moment arrives to launch it toward Earth. The tiny spacecraft carries the most valuable cargo in the history of science, the knowledge and biological tools needed to stop a cosmic disaster. As it accelerates away into the darkness of space, Grace watches it disappear, knowing that the future of humanity now travels aboard that small machine. The success of the mission is no longer in his hands. All he can do is hope that the probe reaches Earth safely and that scientists there can use the information to implement the solution. In the quiet moments after the launch, Grace reflects on everything that has happened since he first woke up alone on the spacecraft with no memory of who he was. The journey has taken him across the galaxy, introduced him to another intelligent species, and allowed him to play a role in protecting the future of multiple worlds. Project Hail Mary ultimately becomes a story about courage, curiosity, and cooperation. It shows that even in the face of unimaginable challenges, intelligent beings can work together to overcome obstacles that seem impossible. The film's narrative highlights the power of science, the importance of global collaboration, and the idea that hope can survive even in the darkest corners of the universe. As anticipation builds for the film's release in 2026, audiences are eager to see how this extraordinary story will be brought to life on the big screen. With its combination of deep scientific ideas, emotional storytelling, and breathtaking cosmic exploration, Project Hail Mary promises to deliver an unforgettable science fiction experience. As the small probe carrying the most important scientific discovery in human history disappears into the vast darkness of space, Ryland Grace is left in a moment of quiet reflection. For the first time since waking up on the spacecraft, he allows himself to think about the enormity of what has happened. The mission that once seemed impossible has now reached its most critical stage. The fate of Earth may depend on whether that tiny machine successfully travels across the galaxy and reaches humanity in time. The silence of deep space surrounds the spacecraft once again. After months of intense experimentation, collaboration, and problem-solving, the environment suddenly feels calm. Yet the calm does not mean the story has ended. Grace still has responsibilities, and the future remains uncertain. The journey that began with confusion and memory loss has transformed him into someone very different from the teacher who once stood in front of a classroom explaining scientific concepts to students. Throughout the mission, Grace has been forced to confront challenges that no human being had ever experienced before. Isolation, responsibility, fear, and discovery all combined to test his limits in ways he never expected. But at the same time, those challenges also revealed something powerful about human nature. When faced with the unknown, curiosity and determination can push people to accomplish extraordinary things. The relationship he developed with the alien scientist remains one of the most remarkable parts of this journey. What started as a cautious attempt to communicate with an unfamiliar species eventually became a genuine friendship based on shared goals and mutual respect. Despite their differences in biology, culture, and origin, both individuals discovered that intelligence and cooperation can create connections stronger than any barrier. Their collaboration demonstrated something important about the universe. Intelligent life, even when it evolves on completely different planets under completely different conditions, may still share common values. The desire to understand the universe, to protect one's home, and to preserve the future of one species are motivations that can unite civilizations across unimaginable distances. Grace realizes that this discovery may be just as important as the scientific solution they found for the stellar crisis. Humanity once believed it might be alone in the cosmos, isolated in an endless ocean of stars. Now there is proof that another intelligent civilization exists, one capable of reason, communication, and empathy. The universe suddenly feels both larger and more connected than ever before. Meanwhile, far away on Earth, scientists continue monitoring the sun with growing concern. Over the years since Project Hail Mary launched, the star's brightness has slowly decreased. The change is subtle at first, almost invisible to the average person, but the scientific data shows a clear pattern. Global temperatures begin dropping gradually, and climate patterns shift in ways that worry researchers around the world. Governments prepare emergency plans in case the situation worsens. Agricultural systems are adjusted to adapt to cooler temperatures. Energy resources are expanded to compensate for reduced solar energy, and research programs focus on long-term survival strategies. Despite these preparations, everyone knows that without a true solution, the planet could eventually face a catastrophic environmental collapse. That is why the arrival of the probe launched by Ryland Grace becomes so important. If the probe reaches Earth safely, it will carry the information needed to stop the microscopic organisms draining energy from the sun. The biological countermeasure discovered during Grace's mission could restore balance to the solar system and protect humanity from extinction. The challenge, however, lies in the vast distances between stars. Even with advanced propulsion technology, the probe's journey will take time. During that period, scientists on Earth can only wait and hope that the mission succeeded. Back in the distant star system where Grace remains, life aboard the spacecraft continues at a slower pace. With the main objective completed, he and his alien companion focus on studying the local environment and ensuring that their own star system remains protected from the spreading organisms. Their work may also help safeguard the alien civilization's homeworld. These quieter moments give Grace time to reflect on the incredible chain of events that brought him here. From a classroom on Earth to a laboratory in deep space, his journey represents the power of knowledge and curiosity. He was never a traditional hero, never a soldier or explorer trained for legendary missions. He was simply a teacher who loved science. Yet in the end, that passion for learning and understanding the natural world turned out to be exactly what humanity needed. The ability to ask questions, analyze problems, and search for solutions proved more valuable than strength or bravery alone. As the story approaches its conclusion, Project Hail Mary emphasizes the idea that science itself is a form of exploration. Every discovery made by Grace and his alien partner represents a step forward not just for their own civilizations, but for the collective knowledge of intelligent life in the universe. The story also highlights the importance of cooperation on a global scale. On Earth, scientists from different countries work together to create the mission that sent Grace into space. In deep space, that cooperation expanded beyond humanity, bringing together two different species in a shared effort to solve a universal problem. This theme of collaboration stands at the heart of the film's message. The greatest challenges facing civilizations may require cooperation that goes beyond borders, cultures, and even planets. By working together, intelligent beings can overcome threats that would otherwise seem impossible to defeat. The emotional journey of Ryland Grace reflects this idea perfectly. At the beginning of the story, he wakes up alone, confused, and uncertain about his purpose. By the end of the mission, he has become part of something far larger than himself. His actions help protect not only Earth, but also another world light years away. The upcoming film adaptation scheduled for release in 2026 aims to capture this incredible story in a way that blends scientific realism with emotional storytelling. With Ryan Gosling portraying Ryland Grace, audiences can expect a performance that highlights both the intelligence and vulnerability of a character placed under extraordinary pressure. The film's creative team has also promised to bring the vastness of space to life with stunning visuals. From the lonely silence of interstellar travel to the breathtaking view of distant stars and alien environments, the cinematic experience is expected to immerse viewers in the scale and beauty of the cosmos. Another element generating excitement is the anticipation surrounding the first official trailer. Fans of science fiction are eager to see how the filmmakers will introduce the mystery of the fading stars, the awakening of Ryland Grace aboard the spacecraft, and the groundbreaking first contact with another intelligent species. The trailer will likely focus on the emotional and scientific stakes of the story, showing glimpses of the mission that could determine the survival of humanity. Scenes of Grace exploring the spacecraft, conducting experiments, and encountering the alien scientist could provide audiences with a sense of the film's tone and scale. Because the original story combines humor, suspense, and scientific discovery, the film adaptation has the potential to appeal to a wide audience. Viewers who enjoy thoughtful science fiction will appreciate the realistic approach to space travel and biology, while general movie fans can connect with the emotional journey of a character facing impossible odds. Ultimately, Project Hail Mary is more than just a story about a mission to save Earth. It is a story about curiosity, resilience, and the power of knowledge. It reminds audiences that the greatest strength of intelligent beings lies not in their ability to fight, but in their ability to learn, cooperate, and solve problems together. As humanity continues exploring the real universe through telescopes, satellites, and future space missions, stories like this inspire people to imagine what might be possible. The idea that one individual armed with scientific knowledge and determination could play a role in saving entire worlds captures the imagination in a powerful way. When the film finally arrives in theaters in 2026, audiences will have the chance to experience a journey that travels across the galaxy while also exploring something deeply human, the courage to face the unknown. Whether viewers are longtime science fiction fans or simply curious about the mysteries of space, Project Hail Mary promises a cinematic adventure filled with wonder, discovery, and hope. And at the center of that adventure stands Ryland Grace, a teacher who became an astronaut, a scientist who became humanity's last hope, and a reminder that sometimes the future of the universe can depend on the curiosity of a single mind willing to ask the right questions. Even after the probe carrying the solution begins its long journey toward Earth, the story of Ryland Grace does not simply end there. The mission may have reached its most critical moment, but the consequences of everything that happened during Project Hail Mary continue unfolding across the universe. For Grace, the quiet environment of deep space becomes a place of reflection and realization. He often looks through the observation window of the spacecraft, staring at the distant stars scattered across the endless darkness. Each star represents a possible world, a potential civilization, or a mystery waiting to be understood. Before this mission, space had always seemed like a distant concept, something studied through telescopes and scientific equations. Now it feels personal, real, and incredibly vast. Grace thinks about Earth frequently. Memories of oceans, forests, cities, and ordinary life return to him with a kind of emotional weight he never expected. The simple things he once took for granted, sunlight through a window, the sound of people talking in crowded streets, the feeling of standing on solid ground, now seem more valuable than ever. But despite the distance separating him from his home planet, he also feels a sense of purpose. If the probe succeeds, the work he completed alongside his alien partner will allow humanity to survive one of the greatest cosmic threats ever discovered. The microscopic organisms that once threatened to weaken Earth's sun will finally have a natural predator capable of controlling their population. Meanwhile, the alien scientist who worked with Grace continues focusing on protecting their own star system. Their civilization, just like humanity, faces the same danger from the energy-consuming organisms spreading through space. The knowledge they develop together offers hope not just for Earth, but for multiple worlds. Their partnership becomes an example of something extraordinary. Two completely different species from different corners of the galaxy manage to cooperate, communicate, and solve a universal problem together. This achievement may eventually become one of the most important moments in the history of intelligent life. Grace sometimes wonders how humanity will react when they finally learn about this encounter. The idea that humans are not alone in the universe will change everything. Scientists, philosophers, and leaders on Earth will have to reconsider humanity's place in the cosmic landscape. The discovery will likely inspire new exploration, new questions, and new possibilities. The universe, once thought to be silent and empty, will suddenly feel alive with potential connections. Back on Earth, the world continues waiting for answers. Years have passed since the launch of Project Hail Mary, and the mission's outcome remains uncertain. Scientists still monitor the sun closely, analyzing every fluctuation in its brightness. The gradual dimming continues, reinforcing the urgency of finding a solution. Governments and research organizations invest heavily in developing backup plans in case the mission fails. Underground cities, advanced agricultural systems, and artificial energy sources are all considered as possible strategies for surviving a colder future. But everyone understands that these measures can only delay the inevitable if the sun continues losing energy. Then one day, something extraordinary happens. Astronomers detect a fast-moving object entering the solar system at incredible speed. At first it appears to be a natural celestial body, perhaps a comet or asteroid traveling along an unusual trajectory. But as telescopes gather more detailed observations, scientists realize the object is artificial. The object is the probe launched by Ryland Grace. The news spreads quickly across scientific communities and government agencies. The probe's arrival means that Project Hail Mary succeeded in at least one critical objective, delivering the information needed to understand the mysterious organisms threatening the sun. When the probe is finally captured and analyzed, scientists discover an enormous collection of data stored inside. The information includes detailed biological studies, experimental results, and instructions for producing the predator organism capable of controlling the energy-draining microbes. The discovery immediately becomes the most important scientific breakthrough in human history. Teams of researchers begin working around the clock to recreate the biological solution described in the probe's data. Laboratories replicate the experiments conducted by Grace and his alien partner, carefully growing the predator organism under controlled conditions. At first, the process is slow and cautious. Scientists must be absolutely certain that the new organism will not create unintended consequences. But as more tests confirm the accuracy of the research, confidence begins to grow. Eventually, the time comes for humanity to attempt the most important experiment ever performed, introducing the predator organism into the solar environment where the harmful microbes are spreading. Using advanced spacecraft and delivery systems, scientists release the biological countermeasure into the region surrounding the sun. The new organism begins interacting with the energy-draining microbes exactly as Grace predicted. Slowly but steadily, the population of the harmful organisms begins to decline. Over time, the sun's energy output stabilizes. The crisis that once threatened to freeze Earth slowly begins reversing. Temperatures stabilize, ecosystems recover, and the future of human civilization becomes secure once again. Humanity has survived the greatest cosmic threat it has ever faced. News of the success spreads across the world, and the story of Project Hail Mary becomes legendary. People everywhere learn about the teacher-turned-astronaut who traveled across the galaxy to find a solution. Ryland Grace becomes a symbol of courage, intelligence, and curiosity. Yet there is still one mystery remaining. Grace himself never returned to Earth. Although the probe delivered the knowledge needed to save humanity, the man who made the discovery remains somewhere among the distant stars. His fate becomes a subject of speculation and admiration. Scientists continue searching the skies, hoping one day to detect signals from the spacecraft that carried him so far from home. The knowledge that humanity now shares the universe with another intelligent civilization also inspires a new era of exploration. Space agencies around the world begin planning missions designed not only to explore distant planets, but also to search for signs of other civilizations. The partnership between Grace and the alien scientist proves that cooperation between species is possible. That realization transforms humanity's approach to space exploration. Instead of fearing what might exist beyond Earth, people begin imagining a future where civilizations collaborate to explore the galaxy together. For audiences watching the film adaptation of Project Hail Mary, this ending delivers a powerful message about the strength of knowledge and unity. The story demonstrates that science and curiosity can solve problems that once seemed impossible. It also reminds viewers that even the most ordinary individuals can play extraordinary roles when they choose to act with courage and determination. The upcoming 2026 film aims to bring all these ideas to life through emotional storytelling, powerful performances, and breathtaking visuals. With Ryan Gosling portraying Ryland Grace, viewers will experience the journey of a man who begins the story alone and confused, but eventually becomes the key to saving two civilizations. From the mysterious awakening aboard a silent spacecraft to the groundbreaking discovery that changes the future of multiple worlds, the narrative of Project Hail Mary captures everything that makes science fiction so inspiring. It combines adventure, discovery, humor, and emotion into a story that explores both the vastness of space and the strength of the human spirit. As the film approaches its release, excitement continues growing among fans of science fiction and cinematic storytelling. Many believe that Project Hail Mary has the potential to become one of the most memorable space adventures ever brought to the big screen. The journey of Ryland Grace ultimately shows that even in the darkest corners of the universe, hope can still exist. Sometimes that hope comes from a scientist asking the right question, a teacher sharing knowledge with students, or a brave decision to face the unknown. As the story of Project Hail Mary continues beyond the immediate crisis, the impact of Ryland Grace's mission begins reshaping humanity's understanding of the universe. The successful arrival of the probe and the discovery of the biological solution to the stellar threat do more than just save Earth's sun. They open the door to a completely new era of scientific exploration. For the first time in human history, scientists possess clear evidence that intelligent life exists beyond Earth. The data stored in the probe includes detailed information about the alien scientists who worked alongside Grace, their technology, and the methods they used to communicate and collaborate. Although much of the information focuses on solving the crisis, there are also traces of cultural and scientific knowledge that hint at the incredible civilization that exists somewhere among the distant stars. This revelation spreads across the world like wildfire. News channels, universities, research institutes, and governments all focus their attention on the implications of this discovery. Humanity is no longer alone. The universe is now known to contain at least one other intelligent species capable of advanced science and cooperation. For many people, this realization brings excitement and curiosity. It inspires a new generation of scientists, engineers, and explorers who dream of traveling beyond the solar system to meet other civilizations. For others, it creates philosophical questions about humanity's role in the cosmic landscape. Religions, philosophies, and scientific communities begin discussing what it means to share the universe with other intelligent beings. But amid all this celebration and curiosity, one name continues appearing in every conversation about the mission: Ryland Grace. Although he never returned to Earth, the story of his journey becomes legendary. Students study the mission in classrooms. Scientists analyze every experiment he conducted. Documentaries and books tell the story of how a teacher from Earth traveled across the galaxy and helped save not only humanity, but another civilization as well. His bravery and determination become symbols of what humanity can achieve when knowledge and courage come together. Grace did not begin his journey as a famous astronaut or a powerful leader. He was simply a scientist who understood the importance of asking questions and searching for answers. That simple curiosity ultimately allowed him to solve one of the greatest mysteries the universe had ever presented. Meanwhile, space agencies around the world begin working on a new generation of exploration programs inspired by the success of Project Hail Mary. The mission proved that interstellar travel, once considered almost impossible, can be achieved with the right combination of technology, cooperation, and determination. Engineers begin designing spacecraft capable of traveling faster and farther than any previous missions. Scientists develop improved versions of the propulsion systems that carried Grace across the stars. Research into suspended animation technology also accelerates, allowing astronauts to survive long journeys between star systems. These developments gradually transform humanity's approach to space exploration. Instead of focusing only on nearby planets like Mars or Jupiter's moons, scientists begin planning missions that could eventually reach other star systems. The dream of visiting distant worlds and meeting other civilizations becomes a realistic goal for future generations. Another important change occurs in the way governments and international organizations cooperate. During the original crisis, countries across Earth had no choice but to unite their scientific resources in order to build the spacecraft for Project Hail Mary. That cooperation proved so effective that many leaders decide to continue working together on future space programs. A new era of global collaboration begins to take shape. Instead of competing for dominance in space, nations start pooling their knowledge and resources to explore the universe collectively. The lesson learned from the crisis is simple but powerful. The challenges of space are too great for any one country to face alone. The data sent by Grace's probe also inspires new research in biology and astrophysics. Scientists study the strange microorganisms that once threatened the sun, fascinated by the way they survived in the vacuum of space and fed on stellar energy. Understanding these organisms opens entirely new fields of scientific study. Researchers begin exploring the possibility that similar life forms might exist throughout the galaxy. If microscopic organisms can travel between stars and influence the behavior of stellar systems, then the universe may contain far more complex biological ecosystems than humanity ever imagined. These discoveries blur the traditional boundaries between astronomy and biology. The study of life is no longer limited to planets. Scientists now consider the possibility that living systems might exist in places once thought completely inhospitable, inside asteroids, drifting through interstellar space, or even interacting directly with stars. All of this knowledge traces back to the experiments conducted by Ryland Grace and his alien partner aboard a lonely spacecraft far from Earth. For audiences watching the film adaptation, these final developments reinforce the deeper meaning of the story. Project Hail Mary is not simply a tale about saving the planet from a cosmic disaster. It is a story about how knowledge expands horizons and creates opportunities for growth and cooperation. The mission also shows that heroes do not always look the way people expect. Grace never sought fame or recognition. His motivation came from curiosity and responsibility. He believed in the power of science and the importance of solving problems step by step. That mindset ultimately allowed him to face one of the most terrifying challenges imaginable: protecting the future of an entire civilization. In the cinematic adaptation expected in 2026, these themes will likely resonate strongly with audiences. Modern viewers are increasingly fascinated by stories that combine scientific realism with emotional depth. Project Hail Mary offers exactly that combination. The visual representation of deep space, distant stars, and alien environments will likely create a breathtaking cinematic experience. At the same time, the emotional journey of Ryland Grace will keep the story grounded in human experience. His fears, doubts, and determination allow audiences to connect with the character on a personal level. Ryan Gosling's portrayal of Grace is expected to capture this balance between vulnerability and intelligence. Much of the film's impact depends on the audience believing that an ordinary person could rise to the challenge of saving the world through knowledge and persistence. Another element that makes the story unique is the relationship between Grace and the alien scientist. Instead of focusing on conflict between species, the narrative highlights cooperation and friendship. Their partnership represents one of the most optimistic visions of first contact ever portrayed in science fiction in many ways. This optimistic perspective reflects the broader message of the film. The universe may be vast and mysterious, but intelligence and curiosity can create bridges between even the most distant civilizations. As the film's release approaches, fans of science fiction are eager to see how these ideas will be translated onto the big screen. The combination of high-stakes storytelling, emotional character development, and cutting-edge visual effects could make Project Hail Mary one of the most memorable sci-fi films of its era. As humanity enters a new era shaped by the success of Project Hail Mary, the long-term impact of Ryland Grace's mission continues unfolding in ways no one could have predicted. The discovery that life can exist and even travel between stars fundamentally changes the way scientists look at the universe. For centuries, humanity wondered whether intelligent life existed somewhere beyond Earth. Now that question has finally been answered. Universities around the world began establishing entirely new scientific departments dedicated to studying interstellar biology, extraterrestrial communication, and cosmic ecosystems. Researchers analyze every piece of data sent back in the probe, carefully examining the methods Grace used to communicate with the alien scientist and the experiments they conducted together. One of the most fascinating discoveries in the probe's records is the detailed process by which two completely different species managed to communicate using mathematics and scientific patterns. Linguists, physicists, and computer scientists study the communication system they developed, realizing that mathematics may truly be a universal language capable of connecting civilizations separated by light years of distance. This discovery influences future space missions as well. Engineers begin designing spacecraft equipped with advanced communication systems specifically intended for potential contact with extraterrestrial intelligence. Instead of preparing only for exploration, humanity now prepares for conversation at the same time. The biological research conducted by Grace opens entirely new branches of science. The strange organisms that once threatened Earth's sun become one of the most studied life forms in history. Scientists analyze how these microscopic creatures survive in extreme environments, feed on stellar radiation, and travel across the vacuum of space. Understanding these life forms allows researchers to explore revolutionary ideas about energy and survival in space. Some scientists begin investigating whether similar organisms could be harnessed for technological purposes, possibly providing new ways to generate energy or protect spacecraft from radiation. The universe suddenly appears far more biologically complex than humanity ever imagined. Despite these incredible discoveries, the most emotional part of the story remains the legacy of Ryland Grace himself. Around the world, people remember him as the man who saved Earth without ever returning home. His name becomes a symbol of curiosity, bravery, and scientific dedication. Schools teach students about the mission that carried him across the galaxy. Children grow up hearing the story of a teacher who became humanity's last hope and succeeded through intelligence rather than force. For many young students, Grace becomes an inspiration to pursue careers in science, engineering, and space exploration. Monuments and research centers are named in his honor. The spacecraft that delivered the probe is preserved as one of the most important artifacts in human history. Scientists treat the mission not only as a technological achievement, but also as a reminder of what cooperation and determination can accomplish. Meanwhile, the discovery of another intelligent civilization continues shaping humanity's cultural and philosophical outlook. Artists, writers, filmmakers, and thinkers explore the idea that the universe may be filled with different forms of intelligence, each with its own history, culture, and scientific achievements. The realization that two species manage to cooperate across the vastness of space becomes a powerful symbol of unity. If civilizations from different planets can work together to solve a shared problem, then perhaps humanity can also learn to overcome divisions here on Earth. In the years following the crisis, international cooperation in science and space exploration grows stronger than ever before. Governments recognized that global collaboration made Project Hail Mary possible. Without the combined resources of scientists from many countries, the mission could never have been launched. Because of this lesson, new international organizations are created to coordinate future exploration of deep space. Instead of competing, countries now work together on ambitious projects designed to reach distant star systems and search for other forms of life. One of the most exciting goals for these future missions is establishing direct communication with the alien civilization that helped Ryland Grace. The probe's data includes detailed information about their star system, their spacecraft technology, and the scientific principles they use. Although the distance between the two civilizations remains enormous, scientists begin working on new communication methods capable of sending messages across interstellar space more efficiently. Even if a direct conversation takes years or decades due to the speed of light, the possibility of exchanging knowledge between worlds becomes one of humanity's greatest ambitions. The story of Project Hail Mary also changes the way people think about exploration. For centuries, exploration meant traveling across oceans, climbing mountains, or reaching distant planets within the solar system. Now exploration has expanded to include the stars themselves. Humanity begins imagining a future where interstellar travel becomes common. New generations of spacecraft may one day carry explorers to distant star systems where other civilizations live and where new scientific discoveries await at the same time. The story of Ryland Grace reminds people that exploration is not only about traveling to new places. It is also about understanding the unknown. Grace's greatest achievement was not simply reaching another star system, but solving a complex scientific puzzle that threatened the survival of entire worlds. That lesson becomes central to the film's message. Knowledge, curiosity, and perseverance can overcome even the most overwhelming challenges. The universe may be vast and mysterious, but it is also full of problems waiting to be solved by curious minds. As the cinematic adaptation of Project Hail Mary approaches its release in 2026, audiences around the world are eager to experience this incredible story on the big screen. The film promises to combine breathtaking visuals of deep space with an emotional narrative that captures the courage and determination of a single individual facing impossible odds. Ryan Gosling's portrayal of Ryland Grace is expected to bring both intelligence and humanity to the character. The role requires balancing moments of humor, fear, discovery, and sacrifice, all while carrying the weight of a mission that determines the fate of humanity. The filmmakers also aim to create a realistic depiction of space exploration. From the design of the spacecraft to the portrayal of scientific experiments, the film intends to capture the excitement and challenge of real scientific discovery. Another aspect that fans are particularly curious about is how the film will portray the alien scientist who becomes Grace's partner during the mission. Their relationship represents one of the most unique elements of the story, a friendship formed across species boundaries, built on shared curiosity and the desire to protect their home worlds. If the film successfully captures this relationship, it could become one of the most memorable depictions of interspecies cooperation ever shown in science fiction. Ultimately, the story of Project Hail Mary leaves audiences with a powerful and hopeful message. Even when faced with threats on a cosmic scale, intelligence and cooperation can create solutions. As the legacy of Project Hail Mary continues spreading across humanity, the story of Ryland Grace becomes more than just a scientific achievement. Over time, it transforms into a symbol of what intelligence and cooperation can accomplish when the survival of entire civilizations is at stake. The mission that once seemed like a desperate gamble gradually becomes one of the greatest turning points in the history of Earth. Years after the crisis ends and the sun stabilizes, the world slowly returns to normal. The fear that once surrounded the gradual dimming of the sun fades as scientists confirm that the biological countermeasure is working exactly as expected. The microscopic predators introduced into the solar environment continue controlling the population of the energy-draining organisms, ensuring that the sun's energy remains stable. This success allows ecosystems across Earth to recover fully. Agricultural systems that once struggled with cooler temperatures begin producing normal harvests again. Oceans and forests regain their natural balance. For billions of people, life returns to the rhythm they once knew before the cosmic threat appeared. But the memory of the crisis never completely disappears. Humanity understands that the universe is far more complex and unpredictable than anyone previously imagined. The discovery that microscopic organisms drifting through space could threaten entire stars changes the way scientists study cosmic environments. Astronomers begin monitoring not only the behavior of stars and planets, but also the biological possibilities that may exist within interstellar space. New observatories are designed to detect unusual biological signatures in distant star systems. Researchers hope to identify similar organisms long before they can create another crisis. At the same time, the success of Project Hail Mary proves that humanity is capable of responding to cosmic challenges when the global scientific community works together. That lesson influences the way future research programs are organized. Instead of operating independently, many countries now coordinate their space exploration efforts through shared international projects. Massive research stations are built both on Earth and in orbit around the planet, dedicated to studying interstellar travel, alien biology, and long-distance communication. These facilities serve as training centers for the next generation of scientists who dream of continuing the work that Ryland Grace began. Among these scientists are students who grew up hearing the story of the mission that saved Earth. For them, Grace is not just a historical figure, but a reminder that ordinary individuals can accomplish extraordinary things through knowledge and perseverance. The story inspires thousands of young people to pursue careers in astrophysics, engineering, biology, and mathematics. Universities see record numbers of students enrolling in programs focused on space exploration and scientific research. In many ways, the legacy of the mission becomes the foundation for a new golden age of discovery. One of the most fascinating projects that emerges during this period involves developing technology capable of sending messages to the alien civilization that helped save Earth. Scientists know the approximate location of their star system thanks to the data carried by the probe. The challenge lies in building communication systems powerful enough to transmit signals across such enormous distances. Researchers experiment with new types of laser communication arrays, gravitational wave transmitters, and other advanced technologies that could allow information to travel across interstellar space more efficiently than traditional radio waves. Although any message sent will still take years to reach its destination, the possibility of exchanging knowledge between civilizations becomes an exciting scientific goal. The idea of establishing a permanent connection between worlds captures the imagination of people across Earth. Writers, artists, and filmmakers explore the cultural possibilities of communication between species that evolved on completely different planets. The universe begins to feel less like a lonely void and more like a vast network of potential friendships waiting to be discovered. Meanwhile, the deeper philosophical impact of Project Hail Mary continues shaping human thought. Philosophers and historians often discuss how the mission changed humanity's perspective on its place in the universe. For centuries, humans believed they were unique or perhaps even alone among the stars. Now that belief has been replaced with a broader understanding that intelligence may appear in many forms across the cosmos. This realization encourages people to think differently about the future of exploration. Instead of viewing space as a hostile environment filled with unknown dangers, many begin seeing it as a frontier where knowledge and cooperation can lead to incredible discoveries. At the center of all these changes remains the story of Ryland Grace himself. Even though he never returned to Earth, his presence is felt everywhere in the scientific community. His recorded experiments, observations, and personal notes become some of the most studied documents in modern science. Researchers continue analyzing the techniques he used during his mission, fascinated by the creativity and problem-solving skills that allowed him to succeed under extreme conditions. His work becomes a case study in scientific thinking, demonstrating how persistence and careful experimentation can solve even the most complex problems that in classrooms around the world. Teachers use the story of Grace's journey to inspire students. They explain how he woke up alone on a spacecraft with no memory of who he was, yet still managed to reconstruct the mission, build communication with an alien scientist, and discover the solution to a cosmic disaster. The message behind that story is simple but powerful. Knowledge and curiosity can turn ordinary people into heroes. As the release of the cinematic adaptation in 2026 approaches, audiences are preparing to witness this remarkable journey on the big screen. The film promises to capture not only the suspense of the mission, but also the emotional and philosophical themes that make the story so meaningful. From the mysterious awakening aboard the spacecraft to the groundbreaking first contact with another intelligent species, the film aims to portray every stage of the journey with stunning realism and emotional depth. Viewers will experience the isolation of deep space, the excitement of scientific discovery, and the powerful friendship that forms between two scientists from different worlds. The visual effects are expected to bring the vastness of the universe to life in ways rarely seen before. Distant stars, alien environments, and the quiet beauty of interstellar space will help audiences understand just how enormous the cosmos truly is. But beyond the spectacle, the heart of the story remains the character of Ryland Grace, a teacher who found himself responsible for the survival of his entire species and rose to the challenge through intelligence and determination. His journey reminds viewers that the future of humanity may depend not only on technology, but also on curiosity, creativity, and the courage to explore the unknown. Curiosity, creativity, and the courage to explore the unknown. And somewhere far beyond the reach of Earth's most powerful telescopes, the spacecraft that carried him on this extraordinary mission continues its silent voyage through the darkness of space. As the years pass after the success of Project Hail Mary, humanity gradually enters a new chapter in its relationship with the universe. The mission not only saved Earth from a cosmic disaster, but also permanently changed the way people think about science, exploration, and the possibility of life beyond the planet. The knowledge sent back by Ryland Grace becomes the foundation for countless new discoveries, each one expanding humanity's understanding of the cosmos. Scientists continue studying the biological systems that once threatened the sun. What initially appeared to be a terrifying organism capable of destroying stars now becomes one of the most fascinating life forms ever discovered. Researchers realize that these microorganisms represent an entirely different form of biology, life that evolved not on planets, but in the vast environment of space itself. This discovery introduces a revolutionary idea. The universe may be filled with ecosystems that exist on a cosmic scale. Instead of being limited to planets and moons, life could be thriving in places humanity never considered before. Interstellar space might contain microscopic organisms drifting between star systems, interacting with energy sources in ways that scientists are only beginning to understand. The implications of this discovery are enormous. Astrobiology, the scientific study of life beyond Earth, suddenly becomes one of the most important fields of research. Space agencies invest heavily in new missions designed to explore environments where similar organisms might exist. Advanced telescopes and deep space probes begin scanning distant star systems for unusual biological activity. Scientists hope to identify signs of other interstellar ecosystems long before they can affect stars the way the original organisms once threatened the sun and at the same time. Engineers continue developing technologies inspired by the spacecraft used in Project Hail Mary. The propulsion systems that carried Ryland Grace across interstellar distances become the blueprint for future exploration vehicles. Researchers improve these designs, making them faster, more efficient, and capable of supporting longer missions. The dream of sending new explorers beyond the solar system gradually begins transforming into a realistic goal. Humanity understands that the galaxy is far larger and more complex than previously imagined, and exploring it may reveal even more extraordinary discoveries. One of the most exciting developments during this period is the creation of a global space exploration initiative involving many nations working together. The success of Project Hail Mary proved that cooperation between countries can achieve incredible results when the stakes are high enough. Because of this lesson, governments decide to continue working together rather than competing for dominance in space. This new international program focuses on building the next generation of interstellar spacecraft. These vessels will be designed not only for scientific research, but also for potential contact with other civilizations. The knowledge that another intelligent species already exists somewhere among the stars motivates scientists to search for additional forms of life. But while humanity prepares for this future, the memory of Ryland Grace remains central to the story of how this new era began. Around the world, people continue honoring the man who carried the responsibility of saving Earth across unimaginable distances. His story becomes part of global culture, inspiring books, films, scientific lectures, and educational programs. Museums display replicas of the spacecraft and laboratory equipment he used during the mission. Visitors learn how he woke up alone in deep space with no memory of his identity, slowly rediscovered his purpose, and eventually formed a partnership with an alien scientist to solve a problem that threatened entire star systems. For many people, the most powerful part of the story is the friendship that formed between Grace and the alien scientist. Despite evolving on completely different worlds, the two individuals managed to communicate, cooperate, and trust each other enough to work toward a shared goal. Their partnership proves something important about intelligent life in the universe. No matter how different two civilizations may appear, curiosity and the desire to understand the universe can create connections stronger than fear or misunderstanding. This idea becomes one of the most hopeful messages of the entire story. Instead of presenting space as a place of conflict between species, Project Hail Mary shows how cooperation can lead to survival and discovery. As the cinematic adaptation prepares for release in 2026, filmmakers aim to capture that hopeful message on screen. The film is expected to focus heavily on the emotional journey of Ryland Grace as he moves from confusion and isolation to discovery and friendship. Audiences will see how a single scientist, armed only with knowledge and determination, manages to overcome challenges that once seemed impossible. The story blends intense moments of suspense with moments of humor, curiosity, and wonder. The visual presentation of deep space is also expected to be one of the most impressive elements of the film. The vast emptiness of interstellar travel, the breathtaking beauty of distant stars, and the detailed design of the spacecraft all contribute to creating a cinematic experience that feels both realistic and awe-inspiring. Ryan Gosling's portrayal of Ryland Grace will likely be at the center of that experience. His character must carry the emotional weight of a story that unfolds mostly in isolation, relying on intelligence and perseverance rather than traditional action or combat. This focus on science and problem-solving sets Project Hail Mary apart from many other science fiction films. Instead of relying primarily on battles or dramatic conflicts, the story celebrates curiosity, experimentation, and the process of discovery. For viewers, this approach makes the journey feel authentic. The audience watches Grace test theories, analyze data, and gradually uncover the solution to a mystery that threatens entire worlds. Each discovery feels earned through careful reasoning rather than sudden luck. As the story approaches its final themes, it leaves audiences with a powerful reminder about the importance of scientific thinking. The ability to ask questions, challenge assumptions, and explore the unknown is one of humanity's greatest strengths. The universe is vast and full of mysteries, but those mysteries are not beyond understanding. With patience, creativity, and cooperation, even the most complex problems can eventually reveal their answers. The legacy of Project Hail Mary shows that exploration is not only about traveling to new places, but also about expanding the boundaries of knowledge. Sometimes the greatest discoveries come from individuals who simply refuse to stop asking questions. And in the story of Ryland Grace, one curious teacher managed to ask the right questions at exactly the moment when the future of humanity depended on it. As the story of Project Hail Mary reaches its final reflections, the long-term effects of the mission continue shaping humanity's future in ways that reach far beyond the original crisis. What began as a desperate attempt to save Earth from a mysterious cosmic threat eventually transforms into one of the most important chapters in the history of civilization. The mission proved that humanity is capable of solving even the most terrifying problems when knowledge, courage, and cooperation come together. Years after the sun stabilizes and life on Earth returns to normal, scientists often look back at the moment when everything changed. Before the discovery of the strange microorganisms draining energy from stars, humanity believed that space was mostly empty. Planets, stars, and galaxies filled the universe, but life was thought to exist only in rare places like Earth. Project Hail Mary completely shattered that assumption. The discovery of microscopic organisms drifting through interstellar space revealed that life can take forms far more unusual than anyone previously imagined. These organisms did not need oceans, atmospheres, or sunlight in the traditional sense. They survived by interacting directly with the energy of stars themselves, turning the entire galaxy into a kind of biological environment. For scientists, this discovery was both terrifying and fascinating. It meant that life might exist almost anywhere in the universe, hidden in environments that humanity had never considered habitable. Entire ecosystems could exist on scales so vast that they stretch across star systems instead of planets. This realization forces researchers to rethink many of their previous ideas about biology and astronomy. New scientific theories emerge to explain how life might evolve in extreme cosmic environments. Some scientists even begin suggesting that the universe could be filled with countless forms of life, each adapted to different conditions that humans are only beginning to understand. But beyond the scientific revolution created by the mission, the emotional impact of the story remains just as powerful. For billions of people across Earth, the name Ryland Grace becomes synonymous with hope and curiosity. His journey represents the idea that even in the most desperate situations, intelligence and perseverance can create solutions. The teacher who once spent his days explaining scientific ideas to students ended up saving an entire planet through those same ideas. His story becomes a permanent part of human culture. Schools teach students about the mission not only as a historical event, but also as an example of how scientific thinking can change the world. Teachers often remind their students that Grace was never meant to be a hero. He simply used the knowledge he had and refused to give up when faced with an impossible problem. That message inspires generations of young people to pursue science, exploration, and discovery. Across the world, new space programs begin pushing humanity further into the solar system and eventually toward the stars themselves. The technologies developed during Project Hail Mary become the foundation for spacecraft capable of traveling faster and farther than ever before. Exploration missions are launched to study the outer regions of the solar system, searching for other unusual life forms that might exist in extreme environments. Scientists also continue studying the biological systems discovered during Grace's mission, hoping to understand more about how life can survive and evolve beyond planetary surfaces. Perhaps the most ambitious goal that emerges during this era is the possibility of one day visiting the alien civilization that helped Grace solve the mystery of the energy-draining organisms. The data stored in the probe that returned to Earth includes valuable information about their star system and the scientific methods they use. Although the distance between the two civilizations remains enormous, researchers begin designing communication systems and exploration missions that could eventually bridge that gap. Even if it takes decades or centuries, humanity now knows that somewhere among the stars there are other intelligent beings capable of cooperation and discovery. This knowledge transforms the way people think about the universe. Instead of seeing space as an empty void, humanity begins viewing it as a vast frontier filled with potential connections. Somewhere out there may be other civilizations asking the same questions about the cosmos, searching for answers to mysteries that affect multiple worlds. The idea that intelligent species might one day share knowledge across the galaxy becomes one of the most exciting possibilities in human history. As the film adaptation of Project Hail Mary approaches its release in 2026, audiences around the world are preparing to witness this extraordinary journey brought to life on the big screen. The movie promises to capture the suspense of the mission, the wonder of scientific discovery, and the emotional depth of a character who carried the future of humanity on his shoulders. The story will likely begin with the mysterious moment when Ryland Grace wakes up alone aboard a spacecraft with no memory of his identity. From that moment forward, viewers will follow his gradual realization that he is part of a mission designed to save Earth from a cosmic catastrophe. As the narrative unfolds, audiences will experience the tension of his experiments, the excitement of each discovery, and the incredible moment when he encounters another intelligent being facing the same universal threat. The relationship that forms between Grace and the alien scientist will likely become one of the most memorable elements of the film. Their partnership represents a hopeful vision of what first contact between civilizations could look like, built not on fear or conflict, but on curiosity and collaboration. By the time the story reaches its conclusion, viewers will understand that Project Hail Mary is not simply a tale about saving the planet. It is a story about how knowledge can unite different worlds, how curiosity can overcome fear, and how even the most ordinary person can make a difference when they choose to keep searching for answers. In the end, the journey of Ryland Grace leaves audiences with a powerful thought about humanity's future. The universe is unimaginably vast, filled with stars, planets, and mysteries that humanity has only begun to explore. Somewhere within that enormous cosmic landscape are discoveries waiting to be made and civilizations waiting to be understood. And sometimes, all it takes to change the fate of the universe is one curious mind brave enough to ask the right questions. Far beyond the boundaries of Earth's solar system, drifting silently among the distant stars, the spacecraft that once carried Ryland Grace continues its endless voyage through the darkness. It moves quietly through the cosmic ocean, a small but powerful reminder that one human being, armed with knowledge and determination, helped save two worlds and open the door to a future where the universe feels a little less mysterious and a lot more connected. As humanity adjusts to the knowledge and achievements brought by Project Hail Mary, the long-term cultural and scientific transformations become increasingly profound. Ryland Grace's mission did more than prevent a catastrophic cosmic disaster. It permanently altered the way humans perceive their place in the universe. The story serves as both a scientific milestone and a cultural touchstone, inspiring curiosity, exploration, and collaboration for generations to come. The success of the mission reinforces an essential truth: intelligence, creativity, and cooperation can overcome even the most overwhelming obstacles. While the sun is now stable thanks to the predator organisms introduced based on Grace's experiments, the awareness that microscopic life can influence stellar systems encourages scientists to adopt a broader view of biology, energy, and cosmic ecosystems. the very definition of life begins to expand. Biology is no longer confined to planets. Life, it seems, can exist in the most extreme and unexpected corners of the universe. Astrobiologists, chemists, and physicists collaborate like never before, designing instruments to detect biological activity in interstellar space. Telescopes scan not only planets and moons, but also the empty stretches between stars, searching for anomalies that could indicate life forms capable of surviving in environments once thought impossible. Entire conferences, symposiums, and international research initiatives focus on the study of interstellar microorganisms, energy-draining organisms, and potential cosmic predators. Humanity's understanding of what it means to be alive evolves in real time. Meanwhile, on Earth, the story of Ryland Grace evolves from news into legend. Museums exhibit models of the spacecraft, laboratories recreate the experiments, and classrooms across the world teach students how curiosity and scientific reasoning helped avert a universal crisis. Grace becomes a symbol not of traditional heroism, but of intellectual courage, the type of bravery that comes from asking questions, conducting experiments, and refusing to accept the impossible as insurmountable. For children and young scientists, Grace's story ignites inspiration. His journey demonstrates that even ordinary individuals, teachers, researchers, or students, can have an extraordinary impact when they apply knowledge thoughtfully and persistently. Global interest in STEM fields surges. Universities report record enrollment in physics, biology, astronomy, and engineering programs. Young minds imagine themselves traveling among the stars, solving problems that seem far beyond reach, just as Grace did. The alien scientist who collaborated with Grace also becomes a symbol of possibility. Though separated by light years, the partnership showcases the potential for cooperation between entirely different civilizations. Communication is possible even when life forms evolve under completely different physical laws and environments. The methods they developed for understanding each other, based on mathematics, scientific principles, and patient experimentation, become templates for future interstellar communication strategies. This revelation motivates a new generation of engineers to build communication devices capable of transmitting messages across vast distances with unprecedented efficiency. Researchers explore laser-based systems, gravitational wave transmitters, and other technologies that could eventually allow humans to converse with other civilizations. Even if responses require decades or centuries to arrive due to the speed of light, humanity now knows that such communication is possible. Meanwhile, the study of interstellar life sparks philosophical and cultural reflections. Writers, artists, and thinkers ponder what it means for humanity to share the universe with other intelligent beings. Stories, novels, and films explore the possibilities of friendship, collaboration, and shared discovery across species. The idea that civilizations could cooperate to solve universal problems becomes a recurring theme in literature and education. Science, art, and culture converge around the legacy of Project Hail Mary. The mission demonstrates that exploration is not only about traveling to distant locations, but also about understanding the unknown. Every discovery made aboard the spacecraft and through the probe's return data reinforces the principle that knowledge and curiosity are humanity's most powerful tools. For future space exploration missions, Grace's journey becomes a blueprint. Engineers and scientists design spacecraft capable of traveling farther and faster, inspired by the technology used for interstellar travel in the mission. Suspended animation techniques are refined, allowing humans to endure multi-decade journeys. Every aspect of mission planning, from resource allocation to problem-solving protocols, is informed by the strategies Grace used to survive and succeed. While Earth continues to thrive under the sun's restored energy, humanity's gaze extends further. Observatories scan distant star systems for anomalies, searching for signs of life, unusual energy patterns, or the possibility of civilizations similar to the one Grace encountered. Exploration becomes both a scientific pursuit and a philosophical endeavor, an attempt to answer the age-old question of whether humanity is alone in the universe. Yet the most poignant part of the story remains Ryland Grace himself. Though he never returned to Earth, his influence permeates every scientific, educational, and cultural initiative that follows. People celebrate his intelligence, resilience, and capacity to act decisively under extreme pressure. The spacecraft that carried him drifts silently through the cosmos, a symbol of human curiosity and determination. The cinematic adaptation, set for release in 2026, aims to bring this intricate story to life with both spectacle and emotional depth. Audiences will experience the isolation of interstellar travel, the thrill of scientific discovery, and the extraordinary partnership between two intelligent beings from different worlds. The film emphasizes that intelligence, curiosity, and cooperation, not physical strength, can save entire civilizations. Ultimately, Project Hail Mary leaves humanity with a profound realization. The universe is vast, mysterious, and filled with possibilities. There are challenges and threats humanity cannot yet imagine, but there are also opportunities for discovery, cooperation, and growth. Every unanswered question becomes an invitation to explore, to learn, and to reach further than ever before. And somewhere among the stars, the spacecraft carrying Ryland Grace continues its silent journey through the darkness. It drifts past distant suns, alien worlds, and cosmic phenomena, a quiet testament to the courage of one human mind that helped safeguard two civilizations and illuminated the limitless potential of knowledge and curiosity as the universe continues spinning in its vast, silent majesty. The legacy of Project Hail Mary solidifies not only as a scientific triumph, but also as a philosophical awakening for humanity. The consequences of Ryland Grace's mission extend far beyond the immediate success of stabilizing the sun. His journey sparks a cascade of discoveries, cultural shifts, and global initiatives that fundamentally change the way humans think about life, intelligence, and exploration. Universities and research institutions worldwide create entire programs dedicated to studying interstellar biology, cosmic ecosystems, and the possibility of life existing beyond planetary surfaces. Scholars investigate the strange, energy-draining organisms that once threatened Earth, now viewing them as a profound example of life's adaptability and resilience. The realization that organisms can thrive in the harsh vacuum of space, feeding off stellar energy, revolutionizes humanity's understanding of what it means to be alive. Scientists explore the potential applications of these discoveries. Some consider the possibilities for advanced energy generation, sustainable long-term life support in space, and even bioengineering systems that could help humanity survive in extreme extraterrestrial environments. The boundary between biology and technology begins to blur as researchers experiment with ways to harness natural cosmic processes for human benefit. Meanwhile, the educational impact of Grace's mission continues to grow. Teachers tell the story of his extraordinary journey to inspire students in classrooms across the globe. Children learn that heroism does not always mean physical strength or fame, but often comes from knowledge, perseverance, and courage in the face of the unknown. Ryland Grace becomes a symbol of intellectual bravery, showing that even a single person, guided by curiosity and determination, can influence the fate of entire civilizations. Public interest in space exploration reaches unprecedented levels. Inspired by the mission, nations prioritize investment in interstellar technology, advanced propulsion systems, and deep space monitoring programs. Engineers develop spacecraft capable of traveling farther and faster, incorporating lessons from Grace's journey to ensure long-term survival and adaptability in space. Suspended animation technologies, resource management systems, and autonomous scientific instruments all see rapid advancement as humanity prepares for its next great leap into the cosmos. Global collaboration becomes a cornerstone of future initiatives. Project Hail Mary had demonstrated the power of uniting scientific expertise from multiple countries to achieve a shared goal. Inspired by that model, international space programs prioritize cooperation over competition. Research stations, observatories, and laboratories across Earth operate under unified goals, ensuring that humanity's collective resources are efficiently applied to exploration, discovery, and defense against potential cosmic threats. The alien scientist who worked alongside Grace continues to influence human thinking as well. Even from across the stars, the lessons of interspecies cooperation resonate with Earth scientists, philosophers, and educators. Their partnership demonstrates that understanding and collaboration can bridge differences in biology, culture, and even consciousness. Humanity begins to see interstellar life not as a threat, but as a potential partner in the pursuit of knowledge. This realization sparks philosophical debates and cultural reflections. Writers, filmmakers, and artists explore themes of unity, curiosity, and cooperation in their works, imagining futures in which intelligent civilizations collaborate to solve universal challenges. The story of Project Hail Mary becomes more than a historical event. It evolves into a symbol of hope, resilience, and the limitless possibilities of exploration. Technological innovation accelerates as well. Communication systems are developed to send messages across interstellar distances, inspired by the methods Grace and his alien counterpart used to collaborate. Researchers experiment with laser-based transmission, gravitational wave messaging, and other advanced methods, hoping to one day establish contact with other intelligent species. The prospect of interstellar dialogue transforms humanity's approach to science, politics, and culture, emphasizing patience, collaboration, and long-term thinking. The impact on popular culture is equally profound. Documentaries, books, and films recount the story of Grace's mission, highlighting both the suspense of his discoveries and the emotional depth of his journey. Audiences connect with the human aspects of the story, the isolation, the challenges, and the remarkable ingenuity required to overcome them. Ryland Grace becomes a cultural icon, celebrated not only for saving Earth, but for exemplifying humanity's potential when intelligence and courage intersect. Meanwhile, scientific inquiry continues unabated. Space agencies monitor distant star systems for anomalies that could indicate interstellar life or other cosmic phenomena. The study of organisms capable of surviving in extreme conditions inspires experiments in artificial habitats, bioengineering, and even terraforming technologies. Humanity's conception of life, energy, and the universe itself expands with every discovery. The philosophical implications also deepen. Humanity begins to consider its responsibilities not only to Earth, but to the wider cosmos. If life can exist across stars and galaxies, then the preservation of knowledge, ecosystems, and intelligent life becomes a shared imperative. Ethical considerations of interstellar exploration, species interaction, and cosmic stewardship emerge as central topics for discussion in academia, governance, and culture. Yet through all these changes, the central figure remains Ryland Grace. His journey is remembered as both a scientific and moral benchmark. The mission demonstrates that exploration requires patience, intelligence, and an unwavering commitment to understanding the unknown. Grace's story reinforces the principle that progress often depends not on resources or power, but on curiosity, persistence, and the willingness to embrace uncertainty. The cinematic adaptation set for 2026 seeks to capture all of these dimensions. Audiences will experience not only the technical marvels of interstellar travel, but also the emotional and philosophical resonance of Grace's journey. The film emphasizes isolation, discovery, and the importance of collaboration across species, highlighting how even a single individual can catalyze change on a universal scale. Visually, the film promises to depict the vastness of space with breathtaking realism. Distant stars, alien worlds, and the eerie beauty of interstellar environments will immerse audiences in the scope of the cosmos. Yet the narrative remains grounded in human experience. The fear, hope, humor, and ingenuity of Ryland Grace provide a lens through which viewers can relate to a universe that is otherwise incomprehensibly large. Ultimately, Project Hail Mary leaves humanity with an enduring lesson. The universe is full of mysteries, challenges, and opportunities. By embracing curiosity, knowledge, and cooperation, even the most daunting obstacles can be overcome. Ryland Grace's journey reminds us that one determined mind, guided by intelligence and courage, can alter the course of history, not just for humanity, but for life itself, and somewhere, far beyond the reach of Earth's telescopes. The spacecraft that carried him continues its endless drift through the cosmic expanse, a silent testament to the power of human ingenuity, resilience, and the unquenchable desire to explore the unknown. As the centuries progress in the narrative of Project Hail Mary, the impact of Ryland Grace's mission continues to ripple across human civilization, shaping not only scientific progress, but also the cultural and philosophical understanding of humanity's place in the cosmos. His journey, though singular in action, becomes emblematic of what humans are capable of when intelligence, curiosity, and perseverance intersect with necessity. The immediate effect of the mission, stabilizing the sun, ensures that Earth's ecosystems return to balance. Agriculture thrives once again, seasons normalize, and the delicate equilibrium of life on the planet is maintained. But beyond the ecological restoration, the mission fundamentally alters humanity's perception of risk and preparedness. Scientists and policymakers realize that cosmic threats are no longer abstract possibilities. They are tangible challenges that require coordinated global effort, advanced technology, and innovative thinking. Universities and research institutions begin offering interdisciplinary programs inspired by Grace's journey, blending physics, biology, engineering, and space sciences in ways previously unimagined. Students study the mechanics of interstellar travel, suspended animation, and the biological systems of organisms capable of surviving in extreme environments. Classrooms discuss the ethical and philosophical implications of encountering extraterrestrial life, exploring questions about intelligence, communication, and the moral responsibilities of advanced civilizations. The alien life that Grace encounters becomes one of the most significant scientific subjects in human history. Researchers examine the methods used for interstellar communication, learning how two completely different intelligences, human and extraterrestrial, could cooperate to solve a crisis threatening multiple star systems. Linguists, mathematicians, and computer scientists study the patterns and protocols used to establish understanding across species, laying the groundwork for future attempts at interstellar diplomacy and collaboration. Meanwhile, space agencies leverage the technological innovations developed for Project Hail Mary to accelerate humanity's expansion into the solar system and eventually beyond. Propulsion systems are refined, spacecraft designs are enhanced for long-duration travel, and resources for sustaining human life in deep space are optimized. Suspended animation technologies, once theoretical, become practical tools, allowing humans to endure voyages that could span decades or even centuries. Global collaboration emerges as a central theme of this new era. The mission demonstrated that international cooperation is essential when facing existential threats. Inspired by this lesson, nations create a unified framework for space exploration, pooling resources, knowledge, and expertise to ensure that humanity's future in the stars is not constrained by national boundaries or competition. Large-scale research stations, orbital laboratories, and interstellar communication arrays are developed as joint projects, emphasizing that survival and discovery are shared responsibilities. The philosophical ramifications are equally profound. Humanity begins to see itself as part of a larger cosmic ecosystem, where intelligence and life may take forms beyond current comprehension. The notion that intelligent civilizations might exist across galaxies reframes humanity's sense of significance and humility. Ethical discussions emerge concerning the protection of ecosystems, responsible exploration, and the potential consequences of contact with other species. Scholars debate how humans should interact with extraterrestrial life, taking lessons from Grace's respectful and cooperative approach as a guiding principle. Cultural impact follows naturally. Ryland Grace becomes a legendary figure in literature, film, and art, representing intellectual courage and resilience. His story is adapted into novels, graphic novels, and educational series, emphasizing the importance of curiosity, problem-solving, and moral responsibility. Schools celebrate his journey, not only for the scientific achievement, but also for the example it sets in overcoming fear and uncertainty with patience, intelligence, and creativity. The cinematic adaptation scheduled for 2026 aims to capture the grandeur of interstellar travel alongside the intimate human experience at the heart of the story. The film is expected to balance awe-inspiring visuals of distant stars, alien worlds, and cosmic phenomena with the personal journey of Ryland Grace, a man navigating isolation, fear, and uncertainty while pursuing knowledge and forging unlikely friendships. The portrayal of the alien scientist in the film is a key narrative element, showcasing the power of collaboration between species. Their partnership underscores that intelligence, curiosity, and problem-solving are universal traits that can bridge seemingly insurmountable differences. This optimistic portrayal of first contact challenges conventional narratives in science fiction, offering audiences a hopeful vision of interstellar cooperation rather than conflict. Beyond the immediate narrative, the legacy of Project Hail Mary inspires future generations to think boldly about exploration and discovery. Young scientists, engineers, and philosophers are motivated to pursue ambitious projects that were once considered impossible, from interstellar travel to the detection of life in distant star systems. The mission reinforces the idea that exploration is not only about reaching new locations, but also about expanding understanding, fostering cooperation, and cultivating resilience in the face of unknown challenges. Research into interstellar organisms continues to yield breakthroughs. Scientists develop advanced models of cosmic ecosystems, exploring how life can evolve under extreme conditions and interact with energy sources like stars. These studies have applications in energy production, bioengineering, and the creation of sustainable habitats for human expansion beyond Earth. Every discovery reinforces the idea that life, in its most adaptable forms, can exist in environments previously thought inhospitable. The philosophical and ethical dimensions of the mission also resonate through society. Humanity begins to view itself as part of a broader cosmic network, where intelligence, life, and knowledge are interconnected across vast distances. Discussions about responsibility, stewardship, and communication extend beyond Earth, shaping the way future explorers and policymakers approach interstellar interactions. Grace's example provides a model for respectful engagement, emphasizing understanding and collaboration over dominance or exploitation. Even centuries after the mission, Ryland Grace's influence endures. Monuments, research centers, and educational programs commemorate his achievements, reminding humanity of the power of knowledge, courage, and curiosity. His story continues to inspire, not as a tale of individual heroism in the traditional sense, but as a demonstration of how determination, intellect, and ethical reasoning can change the course of history for an entire species. As the spacecraft carrying Grace drifts silently through interstellar space, it serves as a lasting symbol of humanity's potential. It represents the idea that one mind, guided by curiosity and perseverance, can alter the fate of worlds and create connections across galaxies. It is a quiet monument to human ingenuity, a testament to the limitless possibilities that emerge when knowledge and courage intersect. The universe, vast and full of mysteries, remains an open frontier. Every star, planet, and cosmic phenomenon holds the potential for discovery, cooperation, and growth. Project Hail Mary stands as a reminder that exploration is not merely about movement through space, but about the pursuit of understanding and the creation of bridges across the unknown. As the universe stretches endlessly beyond human perception, the enduring influence of Project Hail Mary solidifies into a permanent chapter of human history. Ryland Grace's mission has evolved from a singular act of survival and ingenuity into a lasting legacy that shapes the trajectory of humanity for generations. The mission illustrates not only the extraordinary potential of intelligence and determination, but also the transformative power of curiosity, collaboration, and ethical action in the face of incomprehensible challenges. The successful stabilization of the Sun marks only the beginning of a profound transformation in human understanding. Scientists, inspired by the mission, continue to explore interstellar biology and cosmic ecosystems with renewed vigor. The organisms that once threatened the Sun now provide unprecedented insight into life's adaptability, showing that survival does not require Earth-like conditions, but can manifest even in the vacuum of space. Researchers analyze their metabolic processes, energy consumption, and resilience, uncovering principles that may one day revolutionize energy generation, artificial habitats, and space travel. Universities and research institutions around the globe establish specialized programs inspired by Grace's achievements. These programs merge disciplines, physics, biology, mathematics, and engineering, encouraging students to approach problems holistically. Classrooms discuss the ethics of interstellar exploration, the responsibilities of intelligent civilizations, and the challenges of cooperation across species. The story of Grace becomes a foundational case study, a teacher-turned-hero, navigating isolation, danger, and uncertainty to avert catastrophe. The alien scientist who assisted Grace remains a profound influence on scientific thought and philosophy. Their partnership illustrates that intelligence, communication, and problem-solving are universal traits capable of bridging enormous differences in biology, culture, and consciousness. The methods they use to communicate, mathematical patterns, scientific reasoning, and patient experimentation, become a model for interstellar diplomacy and collaboration. This legacy encourages humanity to consider relationships with future extraterrestrial civilizations not as conflicts to be fought, but as opportunities for shared discovery and mutual growth. Global cooperation in space exploration strengthens in the aftermath of the mission. International coalitions emerge to design, construct, and operate next-generation spacecraft capable of interstellar travel. Engineers incorporate lessons learned from Grace's journey into propulsion systems, life support, resource management, and long-duration survival technologies. Suspended animation and autonomous decision-making systems evolve, enabling human crews to endure decades-long missions across the stars. The ethos of shared responsibility guides every decision, reinforcing that survival and discovery are collective endeavors. Philosophically, humanity's perspective shifts dramatically. Once insular and Earth-centric, humans begin to perceive themselves as participants in a larger cosmic ecosystem. The recognition that intelligent life may exist elsewhere in the universe fosters humility, curiosity, and a sense of responsibility. Discussions about ethics, stewardship, and interstellar communication become central to scientific, philosophical, and political discourse. Grace's example, emphasizing respect, collaboration, and ingenuity, becomes a guiding principle for interactions with other life forms and the management of future cosmic threats. Culturally, the mission leaves an indelible mark. Ryland Grace is celebrated in literature, art, film, and education as a figure of intellectual courage and perseverance. Schools teach his story as an example of how curiosity, creativity, and critical thinking can produce outcomes far beyond ordinary expectations. Popular media, books, documentaries, and adaptations highlight both the emotional and scientific aspects of the journey, portraying Grace as a human lens through which audiences can experience the immensity and mystery of the cosmos. The cinematic adaptation slated for 2026 brings this legacy to life on the big screen, combining breathtaking visuals of distant stars, alien worlds, and interstellar phenomena with the intimate human drama of Grace's journey. Audiences will witness his isolation, ingenuity, humor, and determination, experiencing the suspense of discovery and the emotional resonance of forming a connection across species boundaries. The alien scientist's role underscores the transformative power of cooperation and mutual understanding, presenting a vision of first contact that is hopeful, ethical, and intellectually inspiring. Science continues to evolve in the wake of the mission. Interstellar research initiatives expand, exploring the potential for life in extreme cosmic environments. Advanced telescopes, space-based laboratories, and deep space probes investigate distant star systems for biological signatures, energy anomalies, and signs of intelligent activity. Lessons from Project Hail Mary guide protocols for resource allocation, risk management, and ethical considerations in these explorations. Humanity learns to approach the unknown not with fear, but with rigor, patience, and respect.